Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the show. This is the Collaborators Unite podcast. Chuck Anderson here. I'm your host, and this is the show for big impact experts. And that's you if you are on a mission to not only be profitable, but you also want to make a big positive difference in the lives of your clients, your community, or maybe even the world. And we know that because we've talked to so many of you, and the value system that I think ties you all together is that you prioritize impact over profits. But our belief is that the more profitable you are, the bigger impact you're going to make. And today's topic is all about how do we do that through launches. And I have a guest here who has an extensive background in launching, in JVs, in collaborations. And so you're going to learn a lot today. And some of you might recognize the name, some of you might not. But I have Milana Leshinsky here with me today, and we're going to talk all about this. And Milana, welcome. And I'm so happy to finally have you on my show.
Hey, Chuck, thank you so much for having me here. I'm excited to talk to you and to talk launches because I think anybody who has not done a launch is definitely leaving not only money on the table, but also an opportunity to reach a lot more people with their message and make that impact that they really are looking to make.
It certainly is. And when it's done right, it's very, very, very powerful. And I think maybe a starting point for the conversation is tell everybody a little bit more about your background and how did it come to be that launches are your thing? Like that's the thing
Yeah.
that you help people with the most. Yeah.
Well, I started out my business after being a music teacher and a web designer, and I jumped right into my business with two small kids. Really wanted to be a work-at-home mom. And the first thing that I wanted to do was to really attend those coaching conferences that were really all over the States. And of course, I couldn't travel. So I chose to create my own virtual event and I called it Telesummit. That was the first Telesummit in the world back in five. And what I did at that time generated not only six figures, but also showed me that in order to attract clients and build an audience, you need to create buzz. You need to be a little louder than everyone else in your space. And so that was my very first launch. I did not know that. I later realized, like, oh, that's what I did. I launched it. I created buzz. I invited partners. I built some interesting conversations and content, made connections, and I had doors open and I had registration closed. So all the components of a classic launch, I had that. I just didn't know what I was doing. But even with that, that was my first six-figure year. And so after that, launching kind of has become my way of filling my coaching programs. Anytime I had a new program or a new course, a new product, I knew I had to launch it. And I also at the same time was watching my colleagues, my peers, some of my clients who would create their courses and programs and would send out a few emails and there were crickets, nothing, silence. And so the difference between launching your creation and simply marketing it slowly, little by little, is huge. I mean, the difference between filling your groups, selling your courses and programs, making good money versus struggling, feeling frustrated and confused, wondering if you are cut out to be in business. So, as you can tell, I am really a big fan of launches, and there's so many ways to do them. And so that's what we can talk about next.
Yeah. And I agree with you on every point that you just made. And I do want to give a shout out to telesummits, though. I may have been on one of your telesummits back then in '05, and I also started using them. It was such an interesting concept to deliver a webinar over a phone where you can't see your audience, but you're delivering it. And I also did not consider that to be a launch, but it was indeed a form of a launch. So I wanted to give a shout out to that because it just shows how far we've come from delivering content over a phone and now doing it on Zoom and all of the technology that we have. But the concept of is the same. Building the audience, building the buzz, having partners help us to fill the event and all of that is huge. And it made me think of so many people that I work with who have group coaching programs, and they say, well, I want to have a cohort of at least 10 people, but then they do the drip marketing method and they really
Yeah.
only get one or two. So you've probably come across
Well,
people
and
like that as well.
for sure. And I learned that to fill a group, you must market to a group or to an audience. And so you need to have some type of an audience. Ideally, you have a mailing list, but even if you don't have a mailing list, you have access to mailing lists of, partners, speaking audiences, your inner circle. When I start working with clients, they don't have typically a mailing list, but then they start looking at their inner network and they realize, oh my God, I have 100 people ready to market to. And then it grows and it's, nobody was born with a mailing list, right, Chuck? We all started from zero, but
Zero
somehow,
and then one, and then it just
yes,
grows from there.
yes, and especially with social media right now and podcast guesting and so many different virtual events that you could speak at or host, it's not that hard to build your audience, to build your mailing list. But once you have that, it's just a matter of nurturing them, giving them some relevant belief shifting content, and then inviting them for an opportunity to work with you or to join your program or your community, buy your course, buy your tools. So it's really a matter of somebody asked me, what is a launch? To me, a launch is a window of opportunity that you open. And then it's a journey. It's a psychological and emotional journey that you take potential clients on to help them make a decision to join your program or course. And so what I just said is essentially how I see launching. I don't see it as a tactical, logistical project with email blasts and webinars. It's really a journey that you take people on, helping them decide if your program is for them. And it's very hard to market, to fill a group one person at a time. That's why a launch really allows you to market one to many, to enroll multiple clients at a time.
That's really great insight because we hear it all the time. I want to fill my group program. I don't want to do
Right.
one-on-one. I want to do a group program. I need 10 to make this minimally viable. And I love the insight is if you're going to fill a group, you have to market to groups. That
Yes.
is a great way to think about it. My follow-up question is, like, when you're working with people, are you working with people this is their first launch, or maybe they're learning what launches are, or is it people who are used to launching and you're helping them be better? Like, what are the main, what do you hear? Who are you attracting, I guess, is the word, and what are you hearing from them in terms of what they want to do?
Yeah, I work with both, and I'll tell you, people who are more advanced and they're more well known, they come to me kind of behind the scenes for some strategy and advice and ideas. And then I also work in my coaching programs where I actually help people um, develop their coaching programs and launch them. So for the most part, the tools that I've created are for people who have either never launched before or they have launched, but it didn't work. And they got disappointing results and they don't know why. They don't know what to fix and where to look, where to troubleshoot. Like, why didn't people enroll? And there's so many different things to look at that it's overwhelming for somebody who is new to it to really figure things out. Like, where do I start fixing? And so a lot of times when people try to launch, it can be overwhelming. It can also be discouraging. I launched, I got two people, I had to cancel the group. If they're smart, they would convert them to private clients instead of just refunding the money. But the point is that it can be disappointing, and then people shy away from launches. And I think it's really because they go straight to the tactical and they forget that you're launching to a human being who is going to consume your information, watch your videos, or webinar, they're going to participate in the journey that you take them on. And it's an emotional journey. They have to come to that decision that your program is right for them. And so that is done through messaging, through making sure that you're actually launching the right program or course or offer. It's also important that you are emotionally ready for launch, because theoretically speaking, if you're launching, that means you're playing big, right? Nobody says, I'm going to play small. Let me launch my program, right? So if you made the decision to launch, that means you said, I'm ready to play big. But if you're not emotionally there, like if you don't have the mojo, internal mojo to launch, to play bigger, then you might get a little bit overwhelmed in the process. So there's a lot of different factors. My friend Gina Gabolini, who is an energy, she's big on energies. Whenever a launch fails, she's seen somebody out there fail with their launch. That's the first thing that she says. Your energy was off. And energy is super important, is that energy that you bring to your launch. And for me, the energy comes from the place of really believing in what you are launching, what you're selling.
You know, it's interesting when we survey our audience, two words come up that I think really align with what you just said. One is clarity, because they want to be clear on what the strategy is and what the steps are. And I think also confidence in themselves, but also confidence in that what they are doing is going to work. And
Yes.
and we hear all of that. And so is that what you're also hearing from people when you're working with them?
For sure. There is also one other thing that I really believe in, and that is alignment. There are many different ways to launch. There is this traditional classic formula for launching, and you already know on the receiving end, oh, that's going to be a video 1, video 2, video 3, then there's going to be a sales video, then a live Q&A call, cart open, cart close. It's predictable. We know now this is how people typically launch, but that flow, that strategy is not right for everyone. Maybe some people are not video people. Maybe they're more of a writer, or they are a tool builder, or they are a connector or a strategist. There's just so many different ways to look at a launch, right? And also, I really feel like a launch needs to follow your pace. We all have our own pace, energetically speaking. And so if you try to launch fast and loud and high energy because you're modeling someone else you're seeing out there, you're going to crash. You're going to burn out, and it's not going to work for you. So finding your own pace and your own launch launch personality, as I like to say it, is really important. So alignment is super important. As in everything in business, you have to find your own way to run your business and also to launch and to market yourself. For me, it took me years to learn that. I had a partnership and I thought, this is a great idea. Let's partner on it. But our personalities were different. And I started leaning into my partner's personality when it came to marketing and running my business. Within 3 years, I burnt out. I started having panic attacks, just wasn't working for me. And so when I restarted my business, or I should say, when I started a new business with that new knowledge, I was so much more aware. This is a yes for me and this is a no for me. I became very clear. That's how you have to approach a launch strategy.
Yeah, and that really speaks to that alignment, because when we're out of alignment, it reminds me of when I was trying to be just like my mentor. He was huge on speaking and selling from the stage. And when I was setting up my own stages, I did it exactly the way he did it. And I also, maybe 3 years is the magic number, because I also burnt out of that in about 3 years, because I realized this is not sustainable and it's not who I am.
Exactly.
Not only was it misaligned for me, I was not being true to who I was, but it also was misaligned for my audience. They didn't need me to be like my mentor. They needed me to be like me. And some audiences don't want the loud and energetic. They want someone just like you, like the way
Yeah.
you can show up
Well,
authentically.
and this is true about any marketing effort that you put out there, some people will resonate with your energy, your pace, your voice, your content, your ideas, your messaging, your story and background, and other people will not. And that's exactly what we want. We want to make sure that people who enroll in our courses and programs are the right people for us, and we're the right mentors and coaches and experts for them. So it's totally okay. And maybe there is a formula for launching. The formula is really about the principles. Like, you need to know the principles. You have to have a great offer that you believe in, right? You have to do some type of an enrollment event where you invite people into your offer. You have to follow up and nurture the people who signed up with you. And then you have to close doors, close registration. In other words, you have to have a deadline. Those are kind of like the loose principles of a launch. But everything in between is up to you. How do you want to show up? What do you want to offer? What conversations are you creating? And I know launching can be overwhelming. So I actually turned launching into a game, and I called it the launch game. And I don't know if I can show. Is that okay if I show?
Oh yeah, it'll come out on video. So yeah, let's go ahead
Yeah,
and show
I
it.
actually turned
I
launching
love this, by the way. I
into a
just think this is
game,
very unique.
and it's for people. I don't know how much you can see, but it's for people who are not necessarily um, familiar with the launch strategy, but it gives you this launch map, and you just follow the map. Let's see, can I do this? One, two, three,
Hmm.
four, five elements, and everything around it are promotional emails and follow-up emails. Once you get 120 cards to come with this launch map, and you just pick the cards and you lay it out on the board, and your launch is completed as far as like the design and the plan and the strategy. You make decisions along the way. And so I think launching can be overwhelming when you think of all the moving pieces. But once you see everything come together on this, you know, the launch map on one page, suddenly it becomes very simple. So to me, launches have always been very simple because I see it as a journey from awareness to a commitment. So all the pieces of content that you create, whether it's your webinar or emails, anything you send out to people, they should come from a place of what emotion do I want people to experience at this stage in the launch. And so that's what I call the launch journey. But I personally see launching as an expression of my creative, uh, it's a creative self-expression, right? And a way to share your passion with people. Um, I think when you are a coach or a course creator with a certain expertise, you don't see yourself as a marketer, you might shy away from launching. So I just want to tell you that you don't have to be a marketer to do a launch successfully. You just have to be passionate about your offer, and you have to do the things that a successful launch requires, such as an enrollment event of some type and a deadline with an invitation to join you. Everything else is improvisation, so to speak. It's like I used to take dance lessons, Chuck, and when I first started, I was following my teacher exactly the way he showed me, those very same steps. And over the course of 12 years that I continued, I started feel like, oh, I can also do this. Why not? I'm still on my feet. I'm still moving forward. The foundation is still there. And so now you know how to possibly add some things that are not part of the classic formula, but it's you and it's your way to launch. So I don't know if I took the metaphor too far, but that's what I just thought of.
Well, we'll ask our audience, did you get it? I got it. And I can, it reminds me of when I was following, my mentor. At first you follow the steps, you take everything literally what they're telling you to do. But after a while, once you have experience, you can start to add your own creativity to it. And so
Exactly.
that's what I got from it. Yeah.
And you start feeling into it. Many times people want to make all decisions and they want to know all the details before they launch. but often you just don't know. You can't answer certain questions. So be okay with that. Feel into how people respond. How does it feel for you to share that piece of content on your webinar or in your email? And then you'll know. I just recently did a 3-day event. I've never done a virtual event, a 3-day virtual event. And so I didn't know, is it too much content or too little content? Should I put a break here or there? Like I had so many questions and unknowns. And then I just let it go. And I said, you know what? I'll do it once and then I'll know. And now my second year, I know everything, of course. No, of course I don't, but it feels like I have those answers that I was missing before the first time I did my event.
It's so funny that you say that because I learned to do virtual events the exact same way. Because I was trained how to do live events in person.
Me
And
too.
again, doing what I was taught to do and doing them virtually is very different in a lot of ways. And I did the same thing. Like, I probably overplanned, overprepared the first one. And then as I was delivering it, I already had ideas on how to make the next one better. Like, this is in, this is out. And now you know what? And like you said, you do it once, now you know how to do it. And you can start to add your creativity and your uniqueness from there.
Exactly. But I think the difference between how I approach launches, how I teach launches, compared to anything else out there is that most courses and most trainings out there are very tactical.
Mhm.
And I know that the success of your launch is going to be coming from how you think, how you feel, that emotional journey that you're going to create, but also the messaging and the offer itself. Because the tactical part of launching is easy. You just send out emails and host a webinar. That's the tactical part. And you create a bunch of pages to allow people to register and to buy. That's it. That's the tactical. But then the foundational part of the launch is, but what if I'm scared to send one more email? What if I'm annoying people? What if I'm emotionally not ready to work with a large group? What if your launch is successful? And what happens right before cart close? Right before that moment where it's the last opportunity? Very often there's a lull in sales. Are you prepared for that? Or are you going to start panicking and changing things? Like all those things that have to do with launching. But what I love about launching is that you do it once or twice a year and you don't have to constantly be on the marketing hamster wheel because that burns you out. Just do a couple launches a year and you'll be good.
Yeah, and that's really all it takes. And like you said, the tactical stuff, it's more or less a checklist. But what I'm really hearing you say, and I can really resonate with this, is that there's that emotional side of how you connect with your audience, the journey you are taking them on, but also for yourself. So you don't turn the whole thing into a moving target and undo all the good things that you've done. And I've seen that happen. That lull you're talking about, I've seen that happen. And you got to trust the process, right? And that's where I think it is very valuable to be connected to a mentor, to be connected to a group for that emotional support during those moments so you don't undo all the good that
Exactly.
you've done.
Well, and one of the things that burns people out during a launch is content creation. This is why I personally like to create as much content as I can before the launch and you kind of run the play at that point. Just let my team send it out as planned. But it still takes a long time to develop content. So one of the things that I'm really excited about is the online version of the launch game with AI. It's so simple now. You take basically exactly what you put into your launch game map, except it's online. You answer a few questions about your offer, about your client, about the promise of your offer. You answer questions about your background and you can add your stories. And then you can click one button and generate your complete launch content with a click of a button because it's AI powered. And so you can do that in ChatGPT, but if you don't know what you're doing or how to message your launch or what exactly needs to be created, then it's going to be a lot more time consuming, not as effective. But in the launch game, it just gives you everything you need to generate everything, your pre-launch content, your lead magnet, your promotional emails, your cart close emails, everything with a click of a button. That's how powerful AI is these days, that you just feed it the right information and it takes it from there.
I think back to 2005 when we were doing these things for the very first time.
Manually.
And right, yes, actually writing the content. And I'm a hand writer, so I
Oh,
would write it
wow.
all. And then there was all sorts of technology I tried for scanning it and turning it into text and, long story. Now you can take a picture of your handwriting, give it to ChatGPT, and it writes it out for you, which is
Exactly. Yeah.
nice. This has been an amazing look at launches, and I hope that what we have given people here today is some excitement or enthusiasm, or at very least some curiosity into how a launch can be the key to filling their program. And for some cases, finally filling your program, because maybe you've been at it for a while and it kind of feels like, where are the clients? Where is all of this? And if although we didn't work together, I've been a part of many, many launches, and I can say that everything that Milana is saying here works. And so she's a good person to learn from. And even though we didn't know each other, I learned a lot from you as well, because you were out there doing the teleseminars and the webinars, and you had a great community as well. And so I appreciate that. What would you say to people who say, okay, I'm ready to take the next steps, or at least learn more? What's the next step in that they should be thinking of? And then how do they connect with you so that they can learn more as well?
Yeah, well, first of all, I would love to hear from anybody who heard me today. And I can give my personal email. It's milana@milana.com. Comes right into my inbox. And I think the first step would be to really decide that you want to launch your program or your course, make a decision that you want to step up and, kind of be seen as a thought leader, because anybody who launches is immediately and automatically seen as a thought leader because you have the courage, the mojo to share your message with an audience instead of, slow dripping and kind of hiding behind your computer. You're ready to step out and invite an audience into your offer. And to help you do that, I would love for you to first discover your launch personality. And I have a quiz. It's called Find Your Launch Personality, because you could be launching, you could be teacher who launches as a connector, and that is going to really mess up your launch strategy and burn you out. So I invite you to take the launch personality quiz. Do you want me to give the link, Chuck, or do you
Yeah,
want
you
to?
can say the link, and then I will also put it beneath this video for those of you watching on video, and it will also be in the podcast show notes if you're listening to this on your phone.
Yeah, the link is thelaunchgame.com/quiz, thelaunchgame.com/quiz, and you'll be able to take the quiz, and it really guides you, your decisions. Am I going to do a webinar or a live stream? Am I going to do, series of blog posts, or am I going to go on a mini speaking tour virtually? Like, it really helps you decide what kind of strategies and decisions to make for your launch so that you can shine your best and not simply follow someone else's launch model. Because I've had a lot of people that try to do certain launch formulas and now they don't like launching because it didn't work for them. They wasted time and money. Had they actually understood their launch style or their personality when it comes to launching and marketing in general, they would have enjoyed it so much more, because we love marketing when we get good feedback, right? We love going out there, sharing our messaging, and people come back and say, that was amazing. Well, you're only going to get that if you communicate it in the right way, with the right audience, in the right format for you. So find your launch personality first. Take the quiz.
That sounds like an amazing step and a great resource. And I highly encourage you all to go and click that link right now. So again, if you're watching this on video, all the links are beneath the video. And if you're listening to us on your phone, just open up the player. The link is there right there as well. And then once you do it, email us. And the contact information is on the website here. And let us know that you do that. I've got a bonus gift for you as well. And I would love to hear your feedback. What did you learn from that? And then we can send a love note to Milana saying, hey, somebody from our audience took your quiz and here's was their experience. So Milana, thank you. Great content. Great conversation about launches. And for anyone listening in, if you really want to make a big impact and you want to do it quickly, then launching is definitely something that you should consider doing if you haven't done already. And if you have done it and it didn't work, it's time to dust yourself off and do it again. But and Milana's got a great system for helping you with that. So again, thank you to our audience. Milana, thank you. Any final piece of advice or words of wisdom you want to
Yeah,
leave
I'm
to
itching
our
to say
audience?
something. Thank you for asking. I want to say a lot of times when I mention the word launch, the people who have any kind of hesitations or preconceived thinking about launches, they might shrink or they might just go, not for me." So I invite you to think of a launch as an enrollment journey. It's an enrollment adventure. In fact, the tagline of the launch game is choose your own launch adventure. It's an adventure. You get to design how people are going to experience you, your message, and your value. So that's what you're doing. You're just creating your enrollment journey and on the way to your program or offer. So hopefully that will kind of take away any kind of super top marketer thinking that you need to be this marketing pro to launch. You really, really don't. I've seen weight loss coaches, relationship coaches, parenting coaches launch their programs successfully just because they share it in the right way with the right people in the right way for them.
Very powerful way to end this conversation. So, Milana, thank you for all of your insights. And what you just described sounds like a lot of fun, too. I mean, we all want to make a big
Totally.
impact. We want what we are doing to work, but we want it to be fun also. And so I highly encourage everyone here to connect with you, to take the quiz and watch your email because there are some, depending on when you're listening to this, there's going to be some interesting things that we'll be sharing as well. Milana will definitely have you back again as well. And I think we definitely have you come back and speak at one of our events because I think you have a lot of great insights to share on launching. So thank
Thanks for
you.
having me, Chuck.
Thank you. And to our audience, thank you as well. And not just for being here, but for the big impact that you want to make. And we need more people like you who want to make a positive difference in the lives of their clients, their communities, and the world, and prioritize impact over profits. And the more profitable you can be, the bigger impact you can make, and the world really needs you to make that impact right now. So remember, there's no obstacle too big to be overcome, and you might just be one collaboration away from the big breakthrough you need to make the impact that you want. And remember, the only way to fail is to quit, so keep moving forward, and we will see you on the next one. Thank you.